Okay, well, I mean, okay, and Gabrielle Fox. Hi, Gabby. Okay, I'm sure. Hi. Okay, well, let's start. This is historic, our first public meeting of the new Yorktown Arts and Culture Committee. I'm Bruce Apar, and I guess everybody has their names on the thumbnail, so we can figure out who each other is. Um, Let me just, for the people who are not on the committee, let me just quickly explain that the committee is a partnership that was formed between the town of Yorktown, thanks to Supervisor Matt Slater and the rest of the town board that saw the need for it, and by the Yorktown Chamber of Commerce, which is led by Sergio Esposito as president. And I know, going back quite a ways, like 18 or more months, Sergio was very hot on this idea as well. So it just so happened both the town and the chamber sort of separately wanted to do this, and then they realized there's no point in having two separate committees. So that's how this committee came about. The town appointed three people, Augie Abatacola, who's here, and I think everybody knows Augie, he runs Yorktown Stage, and Allison Montana and Jennifer Burnback also, were appointed by the town. And then the chamber appointed Karen Trendell and myself. And so Augie and I serve as co-chairs, but I mean, at our meetings, everybody is equal. There's no real hierarchy. And we've had a couple of, plenary sessions, you might call them, so far, leading up to this public meeting. But, the town requires that any entity such as this committee that falls under its aegis has to have open meetings. And so the last Tuesday of every month is when we've scheduled, these meetings that the public is invited to. And so please, let anybody who might be interested, know how to register, just like you registered, they can go to the town website where our committee has its own page and register to get the Zoom link. Although, as I was just talking with Robin about, I should mention Robin Steinberg, who is part of the town hall staff, who's been invaluable to us. We really appreciate all the work she's doing to help us get going. And she was just saying that the town is going to hold its meetings, like town board meetings, in person starting in September. So our committee hasn't really spoken about that yet, really, have we? I mean, we sort of did. We haven't set a date, but we talked about going to in-person meetings, probably also in September, which seems to be the unofficial, date that a lot of people are going back to in-person meetings. And so that's the committee. But, there's only 5 of us and we need a lot of help. And so we appreciate all of you who've shown up today. And we're hoping that as time goes on, we'll have more people coming to these meetings and contributing and offering their ideas, et cetera. And I don't know if do the committee members, any of you want to either introduce yourself, even though I've identified you, or say anything? I don't want to hog the conversation.
It's okay, Bruce. You can hug. I'm Allison. I know some of you all here. It's great to see you. If I look distracted, it's because I'm taking meeting notes. So I have my distracted face on, but I'm listening.
And Allison, why don't you just mention what your background is?
Sure. My background is in teaching art and art history, and I am a doctoral candidate at Teachers College in the Art and Art Education program. And I also have a full-time job, obviously. I work in teacher professional development for authentic assessment. So I'm so glad to be here. And for those of you I don't know, it's nice to meet you all.
Thanks. Augie, do you want to mention your upcoming show for one thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So hi, everyone. My name is Augie. I'm the artistic director here at Yorktown Stage, and it's a full-blown camp day, which is why we're repping our t-shirts today. We love it. But yeah, so yesterday we just announced our next production, which is going to be Heathers the Musical, based on the cult classic film. which will be a hoot. And then we have some great productions happening in the fall. We're doing for the first time ever, we're doing a Halloween cabaret. We're also launching this massive annual production of Christmas Carol that will now be a holiday tradition every single year here in Yorktown, which is going to be awesome. We also got approved for a bar in the lobby, which is going to be amazing. So there's a lot of really wonderful things happening here at the theater. And, one of the things we always spoke about too is, utilizing this space as a way of promoting this council as well, kind of using it to kind of, spring shot some things. So yeah. That's us.
It's great. Thanks, Augie.
Yeah.
Karen, Jennifer?
Karen Trindell. I don't have a stage or an art studio, but I have a creative mind. So I'm the VP of Strategic Planning and Development for a human capital management company located in the area. I'm also a Yorktown resident, and I've been in music for a long time. So I'm super excited to be part of this group and help bring culture, arts in some form or fashion back to the community. So glad to be part of this.
Yeah, Karen's a performer too. I mean, she's very well known around these parts as a good performer.
Thanks.
Yes, I was actually going to say Karen should be opening up every single show if You're No Good or one of her amazing covers that she does. I'm Jennifer Bernbach. I am also a Yorktown resident. My kids are going to school here. One just graduated, and I am a marketing writer. My background, I worked in television for 25 years at companies like Nickelodeon and Bravo. I've always been interested in helping local businesses and communities and contributing. And so when I had the opportunity to volunteer in this committee, I was very excited to jump in. So I'm really thrilled to be a part of this whole group, and nice to meet everybody.
Great. And like I said, I'm Bruce Apar. We run a foundation, mostly in Yorktown, in memory of our son, Harrison. And we do a lot of fundraising and community work, which is very gratifying. Very gratifying to have the support of so many people in town, which is, really means a lot to us. I write a weekly column for several local newspapers, Yorktown News being one of them. And I'm running a monthly publication that covers the river towns. So Yorktown, being landlocked, doesn't see it. And in the last couple of years, I've gotten really more and more active and interested about theater, acting in theater, starting to write some pieces as well and perform them. So anyhow, that's our committee. And let me just quickly run down, some of the people obviously want to know, well, what really is the committee's mandate? What's our role, et cetera. And so there's a few things that I just want to mention about that. One is that we do report, to the town board, as well as to the chamber at the same time. And we want to, the way I look at it is create a continuity of culture in Yorktown that's very visible, that's stimulating, that enables and empowers, a lot of talented people in Yorktown who are artists of various kinds, and that's the other thing, by the way, we're not limited, our purview is not limited to like just performing arts necessarily, fine arts as well. And I don't know if they're on the call, but we may hear in this meeting about a new photography center that's being developed and planned in Yorktown. So anything that, you could categorize as arts and culture, which is the name of the committee, is what we're interested in. And a very important part of it, and this is where the chamber comes in, is bringing together both artists and the business community, both the artist community and the business community, to help fund artists and art events, as well as help the businesses do some what you might call cause marketing, and have a different way of presenting themselves to the to the public and to the community. That's not always just about what they're selling necessarily. It's about their role in the community and supporting the arts and culture, which in turn then goes back to benefit them. And I think that's about it. I think some of you may already know we have a Facebook page, That's, what is it, Jennifer, Yorktown?
I'll put it in the
Yeah.
chat in a second.
Okay, right. So we do have a Facebook page. As I said, we have a page on the town website, thanks to Robin Steinberg. And we have an email, artsandculture@yorktownny.org. So, I mean, unless any of the other committee members think there's anything else under the housekeeping category of the meeting, I think that pretty much gives you a sense of what we're about and what we're trying to do. And we do have some projects, fortunately, we've seemed to have hit the ground, maybe if not running, walking at least, pretty fast with, several things that we're trying to develop and take advantage of. One of the projects is a database of artists that isn't necessarily limited to Yorktown, by the way. Early on, we discussed if there are people that are outside the Yorktown borders that we can, so to speak, import for the benefit of our community. That's fine. You don't have to necessarily be a Yorktown resident, to get involved or to be in our database. And then also we talked about a database of venues, because as anybody who's involved, in the performing arts or other kind of arts on a local basis knows, it's not as easy as you might think to find places to present, whatever you're doing. So a database of venues we thought would be helpful. And to some extent, the calendar of events, although the town, of course, has its own calendar on its website. So, we have to sort of figure that one out. We don't want to be redundant or create, duplicative work or anything like that. So the first thing that we did really was just this past Sunday. I mean, I don't know, Jennifer and Allison, you were the brain trust. It was your brainchild, so to speak, where, we were at the First Lions Club concert at DeVito Field, which got quite a turnout of easily 1,000 or more people.
Wow.
So do you want to just mention quickly what we did there, just to announce ourselves?
Yeah, sure. And then Matt, I know you had your hand up. I don't know if you wanted to jump in before.
Oh, hi, Matt. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And here's Yorktown Supervisor Matt Slater. I was so busy flapping my lips, I didn't notice.
Monologue, Bruce. Bruce is monologuing already. We haven't even started.
Yeah, you got it, my friend. Anyhow,
Well, I'm actually here over at Jefferson Valley Mall. I've commandeered Alexa O'Rourke's desk. There's Alexa.
Hey, Alexa.
And so my apologies for being a bit late, but I did want to just jump on and thank you all for the great work that you're doing. The town board is so excited about the Arts and Culture Committee because we recognize just the tremendous benefits that's going to bring to our town. Having Bruce and Augie and Jennifer and Allison and all of our great members.
Harry.
It's just going to be awesome. And so we're fully supportive. We're fully supportive of your mission. We're here to do what we need to in order to enhance the arts and culture footprint in the town of Yorktown. And I know that Alexa is going to talk about one of the initiatives that the mall is looking to bring to Yorktown, which we're really excited about. And whether it's an art exhibit or the concert that we all got to enjoy on Sunday, or Augie's great work over at the Yorktown stage, and we're looking in a very strong way, right, Augie?
Oh yes, we're ready to go.
Right. It's just the arts and culture need to play. We want the arts and culture to play a more pivotal role in the town and help make the town more of a destination. And we've got the incredible talent to do it. We know we do. And so with your leadership, I'm very confident that we're going to get there. So really appreciate everyone's time.
No, and thanks for your leadership, Matt. I mean, that's obviously been critical in this thing even getting started. So yeah, I think everybody's excited. We're excited about the prospects and what can be done,
Yeah.
So Jennifer or Allison, just mention quickly, what we did at the Lions Club concert, Simply Diamond. It was a Neil Diamond tribute.
Yes. Well, so as Bruce was saying before, we hit the ground walking, I think, which is we have two trains going at once. One is like the future planning of original new things we could bring to the town. And then the other train, which I'll call the local, is kind of just picking up on things that already exist and how can we infuse it with a little more of our committee. So with Simply Diamond, we just thought, since so many people are huge fans of Neil Diamond, it would be fun to create a Neil Diamond fandom wall, which Allison was very instrumental in setting up. And we just invited people that came to the concert to write, their favorite memories or songs or whatever. And things got posted like, I danced to Sweet Caroline at my prom. I bragged about how I owned the 45 of Coming to America. Someone actually met Neil Diamond. So it was a lot of fun. And we have it saved, and we're hoping to do more of that kind of stuff, just as an easy, low touch point way to connect the community. Allison, if you have anything else you want to add.
No, I think that it was great. It was great to be there and also to represent the Arts and Culture Committee and get a shout out on stage just for visibility. And it was also a fun time. That was my first Lions Club concert. I can't believe it. So
She'll be back at all.
I will be back.
And also the canvas that we put up that they were talking about, and people, including the supervisor, signed it. Wrote a message on it. The idea that we have to take to the next step that we discussed is finding a place to display that in town, just to get the word out about the concerts, the Lions Club concerts, about our committee, et cetera. And so we just have to figure that out. But it was gratifying, that we were there, and like they said, we got a very nice shout out from Matt and from Ed Lochterman, Councilman Lochterman, who's very active in the Lions Club. And so now people know we're here, and we want to get as many people involved as we can. Alexa O'Rourke is the what's your title, Alexa? Managing Director of the mall, General Manager?
Sure, whatever title you want to call me these days.
Okay. Queen of the mall.
Queen of them all. There we go.
All right. And you have with you Heather and Katie, right?
I do. There's Katie right there, and Heather just stepped
Hi.
for one moment. Yes, as you can see, like this beautiful mural behind me. Look at
Yeah,
this. We're in theme here.
So why don't you talk about your project?
Yeah, so really, I think that this is very synchronistic timing, everybody. I've been talking to our internal team about a couple weeks ago. I mean, it's no secret that the year of COVID has taught us, society, a lot of things. And you can shut down businesses and term things essential and non-essential. And I think that throughout the year, we really recognize that arts and culture is essential. Arts and culture never can be shut down. It's always in progress. It's always in motion. And how important that it is to put a platform on that. And really what we learn from artists and musicians and teachers, if you will, is messages and how to uplift the community, how to connect and unify us together. So really the kind of the thought tank behind this is we would like to roll out the art walk here at Jefferson Valley Mall, which we're now calling the Valley, just so everybody knows. So if I reference the Valley, that's what that means. And what we would like to do is the art walk at the Valley. And this was really kind of inspired by South Norwalk in Connecticut. During COVID time, they created something called the Art Park, and they have exactly what I was describing before, just very unified, colorful, heart-evoking and connecting pieces from artists all around Connecticut. And I thought, wow, like how interesting. My husband and I went in the middle of the pandemic, and it just tells such a beautiful story and represents artists of the area and beautifies the location and the town. So from this, I traveled a little bit. My family lives down in Florida. And again, I was walking through Sarasota, and they had an entire cultural art walk with huge, like 8x14 screen shots, if you will, of different artists and different stories that they wanted to showcase in the community. So I thought, this is something that's happening all across the US. This is something that many different, towns and cities have gotten behind. And why wouldn't we bring that to Yorktown? Why wouldn't we uplift Yorktown and unify Yorktown and add color and vision and the message of really what keeps us strong and what keeps us unified? So from that, we started internal conversations. We have some artists that are 100% interested in being a part of this project. And the mindset is that we would have a art walk that would take place on outdoor individual billboards, a walking tour, and then as well as inside of the center. So the idea is that, you bring your family, come along, obviously walk the exterior of the building, and then during the winter months, the artwork would still be on display, and there'd be a chance to showcase inside. So from this, we did have a call with Matt, and then we started talking to Sergio and Bruce and the Yorktown Chamber. And this is when I learned that such a committee was, been created. So I think obviously all this goes hand in hand. And it really is also going to turn into community helping community. We wanted to reach out to South Norwalk and see, how did they get this started? Where did the idea come from? How did they get artists on board? Because it was really inspiring what they've done, and they're going to continue to grow their art park. So again, just inspired to do this here in Yorktown, and our fellow comrades in the town of Katona, unfortunately or fortunately, because we do want to see artists represented everywhere, just rolled out that they're doing an art walk. So we know that we're on to something here. And I will leave, I know I said a lot, so I'll leave kind of the floor open for any questions or next steps or anything that anyone has in mind. But from the center standpoint, we're looking to invest money in this. This is not something that we would necessarily pay the artists. However, depending on their caliber of work, depending on their outreach, how many followers they have, how they utilize their social media presence, anything that we would maybe paying certain artists, we have to be sensitive about that. But also there's an expense as it relates to building these structures, maintaining them, making sure that they're weather resistant. So what we're looking to do is get the art park sponsored, the idea and the vision sponsored, and getting some of these art installations sponsored by various businesses in and around town. So that's kind of our ask right now. And we're willing and ready to pull the trigger, so to speak, on this as soon as we get a little bit more weight and understanding on how, the arts committee can help us and the chamber can help us and that sort of thing. So I'll leave it at that. I don't know if anyone has any questions. I'm happy to take them. And unfortunately, we have a meeting that's starting right now, so I have to go. So any questions really quickly?
So I do have one quick question for you, and this sounds like an amazing idea, by the way. I love it. So when you were saying that artists will be displaying their work, am I to believe that this will all be kind of in mural form? In the winter, obviously, they can bring in their work and install it, but in the outdoor spaces, that will be kind of a fresco, like done on the premises, or?
So it really depends on the artist. That's why we really reached out to some of the communities that have already been doing this for ideas. They could essentially create something and then have it screwed into the exterior billboard. We're going to be starting to utilize material to see what weathers well, what holds well, because we would like for this artwork to be on display for at least a year. So going through, the winter, the snow, and the rain. But that's something that we're shop talking right now. And actually our housekeeping manager is going to go down to Norwalk to see how it is that they welded and created this, and then what different artists have utilized as it relates to ensuring that their artwork stays throughout the weather climate.
Okay, cool. I'd love to hear about that. Thanks.
Before you
Of
go,
course.
can you put your email in the chat so that or something in the chat in case anyone needs to follow up with you or wants to follow up with you?
Absolutely. Bruce, do you mind sharing my email with the team?
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah, of course,
I
yeah.
really hate to be rude, but I have the business council of Westchester here, so we got a jet.
Okay, yeah, no, of course, Alexa. Yeah, I'll send them your email. Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm happy to schedule a follow-up call, or anybody has any questions that kind of land in their minds now or later. Just feel free to send me an email and we can get another call rocking and rolling, because we're definitely passionate about this and want to get it off the ground.
Alexa, quickly, where in Katona are they going to do it?
All throughout the downtown. Go check out their Instagram page.
Oh.
They have a full map outlined of where it's going to be.
Okay. All right, great.
Yep, that is my email. Thank you so much, Robin. That's perfect. All right, guys, I got a jet.
All right, Alexa, thanks. All right.
Thank you. Have a great
Yep.
day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if she mentioned, and I don't want to keep her, and I know the answer anyhow, that they wanted, I don't know how realistic this is, quite honestly, but if she had mentioned on the chamber board call, et cetera, I think she said late August. They want to have it up, which that's a pretty tight schedule, from going from, zero to having actual art mounted or on display by late August. But she wants to have it up, let's say, before the winter sets in, certainly, hopefully by early fall. And the other part of this is that even if the target isn't met for the kind of budget they're talking about, that, she said they would still want to do it. It just might be on a smaller scale, but they're looking for anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 in sponsorships, which could include, if the sponsorship was sizable enough in dollars, could include naming rights, where it actually, the sponsor could have its name on the whole project, for the right amount of money. So that's where the chamber comes in also. I mean, is to see if we can sort of canvass our members, our business members, and see if there's any interest in any of them being sponsors for this. So, and like she said, it is something that, some of you, I'm sure, probably have noticed is happening around the country and around the world. There was a little bit of confusion among us when an article in the Yorktown News recently showed a picture of a mural that a local realtor is proposing to put up in the Triangle area, and that has nothing to do with what the mall is talking about. But it just was a coincidence that when Alexa started talking about this to us, that story broke, and so it was also a big mural. So some people were confusing the two.
I just want to add, I put the Katona art stroll that she mentioned in the chat in case anyone wants to reference it.
Yeah. Okay.
In case you want to reference what they're doing.
All right. I also want to acknowledge on the call. I know we have Tim Hartung, who's with the local photography center that's being planned, and Gabrielle or Gabby Fox, who I have worked with and know very well, who's a playwright and theater director and producer. I just recently was in something that she produced up in Garrison Landing, a little theater mini festival, I guess you can call it, that she's interested in, bringing to other places, including Yorktown. So, I asked her if she wanted to be, in this meeting too, to, talk about that, because these are all possibilities for, cultural events in Yorktown that, we know about Yorktown Stage and all the great musicals it puts on, but there really hasn't been a lot of just, what's called straight theater, meaning it's not a musical show, it's just a straight play without music or singing, really. And so, Gabby, that's what she does. And we also should mention that we already have something like that scheduled. The end of August, I think the dates are the 28th and 20th. Is that the Saturday and Sunday? Or I think the weekend is the 27th, 28th, 29th, if I'm not mistaken. It's the last weekend in August, in any case, that a local theater group that goes by the name of YCP Theater Works, which does perform at the United Methodist Church in Shrub Oak. I've actually performed there with them, and so they the committee met with them. The town was instrumental. I mean, was invaluable in helping find a place to do an outdoor theater piece that will be the last weekend in August at Sparkle Lake. It'll be outdoors at Sparkle Lake. The theater group is going to have a tent, so the performance will be inside a tent. So that's something we're excited about to help. Not only the musicals, not only promote the musicals that Augie puts on at Yorktown Stage, but just straight theater. And short plays are very popular right now. You could do 2 or 3 of them at one, in one show. Doesn't require a big budget, things like that, and it's entertaining. So I don't know, Gabby, do you want to mention anything? You want to talk about Liberty Speaks a little bit?
Sure. Thank you all for having me. I grew up in Yorktown, but I live in Mount Kisco now. And my mother was in show business, so I'm very well aware of the whole history of theater in Yorktown and the area. So I'm the founder of Theater Revolution, which I can put that website in the chat too. It's called theaterrevolution.org. And prior to the pandemic, I did focus on producing, and I'm also a playwright, so I'm often have my own work produced in it. We did the first Hudson Valley Women's Playwright Festival, which was the first year it was in Pleasantville, and then we sort of found a home at Garrison Landing. And then this year we had to cancel it because of COVID, and then this year we were on the calendar, but I couldn't pull the festival together, so we ended up doing what came to be known as Liberty Speaks, which was a package of monologues and short plays. We were very, very focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion, because it's been very highlighted in the Hudson Valley how many artists are in the area are predominantly white. So we focused on that. So the plays and monologues are comedy and drama, and focusing on race, because that's in addition to COVID, we kind of dealt with that this year too. So it was really, really well received. It started a lot of dialogue, and yeah, so we're looking for additional venues to present it. It was done outdoors. The Depot Theater asked us to keep it to an hour because when we first planned this, the vaccines were just being rolled out, so they just wanted to keep it short, outdoors, you know, people kind of in and out, but now we can sort of either add to it some other works from other people. So generally speaking, that's where my focus is, and we've also been given the opportunity to Theater Revolution to present something next year at the Depot also. So prior to the pandemic, in addition to producing though, and I think this is where it's sort of interesting, my vision, and you can see that on our Facebook page and Instagram, was highlighting all the good work that's being done in the area, including reaching out and creating these videos and interviews with casts and performers, and posting them online so that it became sort of this local event page where people could see either excerpts from the work or meet the local artists. So we haven't done that due to the pandemic, but we're slowly getting back to that as well. And that was very rewarding because it's just meeting all the artists in the area. So yeah, so the short version is Theater Revolution is looking to get back to that. And on our webpage, we used to have a community calendar that we took down, but we'll be getting back to that. Also sort of sharing some advertising space for local communities because, and this again was a vision pre-pandemic to try and get local businesses some more attention, and including the arts, and then this producing wing. So we're really looking, and Bruce, as he said, starred in one of the comedies, which was super rewarding and funny. But yeah, Liberty Speaks is focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And if anybody is interested in talking about that, I will put my email in the chat.
Great, thanks, Gabby. Yeah, I mean, it went very well at Garrison Landing. They put out, it was 2 performances, Friday night and Saturday night, June 10 and 11. And they put out, what was it, Gabby, about 50 seats each night?
Yeah, and we sold out, and then they added on to it also.
Right, every seat was filled, which I have to tell you, when you're performing, that makes a big difference. You really feed off the energy of the audience. So, and
people came back the second night and they waited to see if so the Depot put extra chairs out because people came back with their boyfriends and they were like, I want him. So it was, and it really did open up a lot of dialogue around these issues.
Right, yeah, yep. So I don't know if anybody has any feedback for Gabby now, but like she said, she'll put her information in the chat, and anybody can communicate with her, correspond with her. But it would be great if there was a way to bring Liberty Speaks or some version of it to Yorktown.
I think it sounds great. And I just want to jump in. There's someone who wanted to come to today's meeting and couldn't. She wants to get involved with theater. I don't know if she had her own ideas, but she would probably really love this kind of thing. Gabrielle, Trish Sullivan Rothberg, I don't know if you know her. But I will make sure that she knows about your project and see if it was just a matter of like volunteering or if she had other ideas.
Yeah, we also, I mean, a school has reached out to us, so it's really, it's gotten some momentum. So, and it's really rewarding, and the conversations are really important.
Yep. Yeah, anybody else comment about that, about what Gabby was saying?
Gabby, I personally, I love the entire idea. And I know you already, you have your venues, you have your spaces, and you have your home. But honestly, if there's ever anything, if you ever, we could always do something here at the theater again with the Arts Council. If we want to throw a festival at the stage, we have the space. So just food for thought on that. And, it's stuff that I would love to start bringing. Actually, it's something we were talking about towards the beginning of this is kind of the new, it's one of the silver linings, if you can even use that term, of the pandemic, is that the carousel finally stopped, and I was able to kind of like, okay, what if we reworked the theater a little bit? What if we did other things? And one of the things would be, new works, theater festivals, short plays, things like that. So honestly, we're always here. Reach out to me. I'll reach out to you, whatever, if it's anything, we could do it together, or you just want to use the space.
Absolutely. So as Theater Revolution, I have a long lineage of show business in my family, and one of the is vaudeville. So I don't have a venue that I'm stuck to. I love the idea of kind of like, packing up the trunk and bringing it somewhere else. And sort of the idea is that it would be this local, like Westchester, Putnam, Rockland. So that's my idea. So please send me your email, or I'd love to talk more about it. Absolutely.
Well, absolutely. Awesome.
Great. That's great. All right. I know Tim Hartung is on the call, and I know I was looking at your Kappa website, Tim. It's extremely interesting what you're planning to do, or maybe already are doing. But did you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, thanks, Bruce. Also on the call is Elise Graham. She's
Sure. I know Elise. Yep. Hi, Elise. Yeah.
So Elise and I and a few other people have been working on this for quite some time. Elise, do you want to take the lead on this?
Oh, go ahead, Tim. I'll
okay.
jump later.
So we're in discussions with the MWalk Friends Meeting House over on Quaker Church Road to lease their day school building. And what we hope to set up there is the Kappa Space. And the Kappa Space is meant to be an education, an education and exhibition center created to foster and advance the belief that we can all use photography to advance concepts of peace, equality, and justice. So we're very early in our organization. We do have our New York State domestic non-for-profit corporation status. We're working with lawyers to get our 501c3 filing. And, we're looking, as some of you have seen from our pamphlet, putting together programs which we hope we are up and operating by next spring, early spring, where we're going to have exhibits, classes, educational seminars, and it's all focused around the Kappas. People ask, well, what is the Kappa Space? And if you're not familiar with Robert or Cornell Kappa, they're brothers. Robert was a famous war photographer. Cornell, similarly a famous photographer who started the International Center of Photography in New York City. When Robert unfortunately passed, stepping on a landmine in what now we refer to as Vietnam, his mother did not want him buried at Arlington Cemetery, where the US government offered to bury him, and his editor at Life magazine offered to arrange for him to be buried in a Quaker cemetery, which ends up being in Yorktown. So the fact that Robert and Cornell Kappa, two very world famous photographers, are buried right here in Yorktown, and the synergy of that and our goal of peace, equality, and justice with the same goals of the Quakers just seemed like a perfect setting. So, like everyone else who's looking to start up and get things on the road, we're trying to raise money to pay for some renovations of the day school building, and to get our programs up and running. But we think this will be a great addition to the culture of Yorktown, and are looking forward to being able to share and work with you all in advertising. I mean, for instance, one thing we were talking about was the idea of maybe a pop-up exhibit. If we could get somebody who owns some of the empty commercial real estate in Yorktown to offer to let us use that space for an exhibit as on a short-term basis. So those are ideas we'd love to talk with this committee about and see how you might be able to help us move things along.
Well, I mean, one thing that just popped into my head when you mentioned, a pop-up exhibit is Alexa and the mall, because as you heard, they're interested in bringing art into the mall. And I mean, that's definitely something that we should broach with her. I mean, I think she'd be receptive to it. I mean,
we're thinking something more located central in Yorktown than in Jefferson Valley, but
Yorktown Heights.
Yeah. But yeah, anything and everything's on the table right now.
Yeah, I mean, what she had mentioned about rebranding the mall as the Valley, she also had previously mentioned that the other part of that is your community. I think it was the Valley, your community center. I mean, this is what's happening to malls all over the country, which, I don't think it's any secret, are a little bit endangered, you might say. So they have to reinvent themselves.
Totally.
And what about?
It's also interesting to note the sort of famous photographers in Yorktown or in Westchester County that were in discussions with those who control their rights, like Consuela Kanaga, who lived right in on Baptist Church Road in Yorktown. Gordon Parks and John Scher, who both grew up in Greenburgh. William Abronowitz, who just released a book on voting rights, who was in Katona. Jose Alvarado Jr., who graduated from Yorktown High School. And I'm sure there are a lot of other people out there who would like to get involved. And we think there's a real interest in this right now, and a lot of people who would be interested. Everyone thinks they can take pictures, so why not focus that energy in a center where it can be all related to our lives today in the world we live in.
Tim, are you a photographer?
No, I'm an architect. Thank you.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yes. And Elise is an artist.
Right.
One of our other board members, Julie Testweed, is a photographer.
Sure. I know Julie. Yeah. I know. Yeah. No, that's very interesting. I think just the fact that, like I said, when Allison told us about Kappa, and then I was looking at the website, and what you were just talking about, that all of these very eminent photographers have some Yorktown connection. That in itself is really interesting.
Yeah.
Yep. And Tim, I was also thinking when you mentioned just sort of educational seminars and the like, one of the things that I've been hoping to work on is perhaps involving Yorktown High School in some way. And I hope that your center would also be able to include our young budding photographers. My new thing is to try to have a youth poet laureate for Yorktown.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to have some outreach with Yorktown High School within the next few months. So, as those ideas blossom, keep me in the loop, and I hopefully can connect you to folks there.
Yeah, that would be perfect. I mean, I was just reading something somewhere else where they were connecting poetry with photography as an educational tool. And we're also talking with an educator at SUNY Purchase who teaches photography there, who actually studied with Cornell Kappa at the International Center of Photography. And she is interested in getting involved with us too and help curate an educational program at the Kappa Center. So, and we're also in discussions with the International Center of Photography. I mean, they own the rights of all the Kappa photographs right now. and they have offered to loan us original photos as well as get involved in our program. So we're very excited about how this could evolve.
Me too. This sounds great.
That really sounds fantastic. I'm excited.
And there's also BOCES, of course, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I mean, I would bet you, not that I speak for them, but it's my background as well, publishing. I would bet you that Yorktown News would be very receptive to, something like, sponsoring a photography contest for students or something, that type of thing.
Yeah, it's on our list.
Okay, all right. All right. Guess you have it all covered.
No, never have it all covered. But Bruce, I mean, this is on a personal level, but I don't know if you remember my son, Xander.
Oh, wow. You just, oh my God.
I mean, he and Harrison were good buddies. So it's good to see you.
Yeah, you as well. How's he doing?
He's doing great. He's doing great. Thank you for asking.
I remember Xander very well. Harrison loves him.
Yeah.
Great kid. Did he go into architecture?
No, he actually went into filmmaking and was a filmmaker for a while. But right now, actually, he's selling ethanol fuel stoves in Africa.
Wow.
Trying to do something about the carbon emissions.
Right.
And he's leaving next week actually for a month in Mozambique to move this around. Yeah. So.
I remember one specifically, not to get too off course here with everybody, I don't want to, but I remember specifically like the trip to the Statue of Liberty where I was sitting with Harrison and Xander on the bus and but anyhow, please send them our best from our family.
Will do.
No, that's great. It's a great connection. I'm so glad you said that.
So I'm just looking at our chat, and I think Rachel Frederick wants to talk a little bit about an idea.
Oh, sure. Yeah, great.
Right, the museum. I think that's a good idea to bring up.
Yep.
Rachel.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Rachel.
Sorry, I'm in my car in the DeTico's parking lot, so I'm a little distracted. I'm hiding behind my screen. But I'm really interested in helping the Yorktown Museum in any way that it needs. I think it's a really great asset that we have. I think it's really underutilized and undervalued. I think it could be an amazing space. We have so many young families, so many young kids, so many stay-at-home moms just looking for things to do during the day. And if we could take that space and amplify it to where it had interactive exhibits or like a little room for kids, like a train room, we could talk about the old railroad. I think it would be a really great thing for Yorktown. So I don't know how we can help get that ball rolling. I did have a meeting with Alice Roker and Diana Quast about a year ago where we had a museum tour, and they are, interested in making some changes. I know that the budget is non-existent. So I think Allison's idea of involving students is could be really great for that project also. Even local Boy Scouts doing projects, or, just high schoolers that want to volunteer to go through some files or help curate an exhibit. I don't know. It's an idea.
The teen center's right there, and that I was thinking the same thing. Community hours would be the teen center would be great. It's right there.
And it's still in the same place, Rachel, in the cultural center, community center, the museum.
On the third floor.
That room, it's basically that one room, isn't it?
It's very small.
Right. Yeah.
It has a couple of classrooms, off the hall. It has like 2 or 3 classrooms, one devoted to Native American history, one kind of devoted to colonial history, and there are also some dollhouse miniatures. I don't remember seeing any artwork up on the walls or anything, and that might be something that would be really neat to have it be a kind of an arts and culture, or just right now it sort of seems like a history museum, but there are a lot of rooms up there, right, Augie? Like there are rooms not being used, and so I wonder if we could make it a kind of traveling exhibition for local artists, as well as for the high school students, of course.
Yeah, during the whole pandemic, obviously when our building was shut down, I actually spent a lot of time up there with the wonderful women who run it. And they actually said over and over and over how, you know, they're looking for new exposure. They're looking for something different. They're looking to kind of bring awareness that the museum even exists. Because I think a large portion of this town has no idea the museum is even buried up there, you know?
Yep.
And honestly, I think the idea of bringing kids in and, you know, changing one room out to some kind of like a youth art or local art, it's just gonna, it's twofold. You're getting exposure for these kids for creating, but also you're gonna bring those families into the building. You're gonna bring them up there. I think they would be all about it. I know you're gonna have huge thumbs up from that whole organization upstairs.
And do they, have they been updating their exhibits? Do they change them?
So they don't seem to be changing too much, quite honestly. In the time I've been here, the exhibits seem to be pretty much the same. It seems every room is kind of its name, because a lot of the things up there that, you know, they're antiques, they're you know, they're actual, you know, artifacts or whatever it might be. So no, they do have a storage area that I know occasionally they'll do a swap out, but it's like an object here or there. It's not necessarily an entire
It's the
overhaul
hallway.
display.
The hallway is the changing. The
Oh, it's the
rooms,
hallway.
rooms stay normally. It's the hallway in the middle with the exhibit cases and things that change.
Got it.
But that was like twice a year, I think, at some point, and they're usually not so great at advertising.
Yeah, right.
I think another idea, Bruce, you'll probably be the guy to talk to about this money issue, but if we could expand the hours of the museum and then compensate staff cost with membership fees, you know, families always buy memberships to places because they pay for themselves in 2 to 3 visits. So if you charge a family $100 a year to be a member of the museum, they would frequent the museum more. And if the museum had more hours, then more people would be going, and it could just liven up the atmosphere a little bit more, I think.
You know, but again, it seems the schools could be, you know, a sort of a conduit for this. I mean, do the schools ever bring classes? Like, you know, especially maybe elementary schools would be more inclined to do this, to, you know, to see, for the kids to see the history of Yorktown.
Rachel, our kids went with Yorktown Community Nursery School. They definitely visit annually, as I remember it, and try to destroy all of the exhibitions, as preschoolers are wont to do.
Young when they went, that was it.
No, but I'm saying that's, you know, just one way to make the parents maybe more aware of that the museum even exists. You know, of course, it's true, like everybody's saying, it's Yorktown's best kept secret, unfortunately.
But going to Rachel's point about the hours, I remember even when my kids were little, it was like such limited days and hours that it just didn't even work.
Yeah, because you'd show up, it would happen to be like, oh, this perfect day that you show up, and then they're closed. And then the hours are so unusual that you would never remember to go back within those time frames. So I think the limited hours really hurts the patronage of the museum.
Well, it almost has to be by appointment only, it sounds like.
Almost.
Yeah. So, I mean, Rachel, do you have any thoughts on what we could do, or the committee, I mean? Or?
I know that the Yorktown Heritage Committee is also interested in getting involved with helping. So I don't know if that's a partnership.
Oh, maybe, yeah. That's
Rachel, if you can later on when you're not in the car, hey Milo, if you can send me your contact at the Heritage group,
sure.
And maybe we can get talking, and then I can bring any between Augie and I, we can bring any information back to the Arts and Culture Committee, because that would be really neat. And I feel like next school year is a brand new world. When we're talking with Tim here about the photography, or talking about the Poet Laureate, and now this, it's going to be really exciting because the kids are going to be excited to be back, and this could really transform that museum.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's something. And then I wanted to ask along the same lines, Tim and Elise, I mean, do you have any thoughts on what we could do, or, you know, any next steps where the committee would be involved?
Not really right now. I mean, I mentioned the idea of a pop-up exhibit that we're not really ready to even consider yet, but it's something that if we were able to get it together, we may come back to the committee and ask through the commercial entities if there was a space in Yorktown Heights that we could, you know, like the old Caldor's building or the AMP or one of the smaller empty storefronts in Yorktown Heights.
Yeah, or I mean, maybe like a space where that is occupied by a retail tenant, but that would want to have something like that, maybe, you know, there as an attraction for customers too.
Yeah, you know, if you're bringing large groups in, it's sort of, but yeah, I could see where they would
Well, yeah, right.
want the foot traffic, but
No, I
like,
mean,
like Allison, like somebody said, the kids all come in and want to destroy everything,
yeah,
so.
right.
Tim, I'm looking forward to you single-handedly transforming the empty real estate market here in Yorktown and making it all arts and culture. We fully support all of that. We want pop-up theater, pop-up galleries.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, there are many communities that are starting to impose requirements on real estate owners who are raising their rents to the retailers. The retailers move out, and then they just put paper up over the windows. But part of the deal now is that they actually have to put art in those windows.
No, that's great. That's great.
So maybe that's something to think about. Just that's not necessarily, you know, purpose of this meeting, but for the town of Yorktown to consider in terms of upgrading the empty storefronts in Yorktown.
Yeah, I guess that would maybe be a planning board item.
Yeah.
But when you mentioned the AMP, you mean Food Emporium? That's,
yeah.
Because you know, Uncle Giuseppe's is apparently moving in there. So.
All right. So okay, Uncle Giuseppe's then.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to be mindful of the time. We have like about 2 minutes left to the meeting.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
Before we wrap up, I was going to say, if everyone could put their email in the chat, that way our committee can follow up with you guys, and vice versa. We can just stay in touch and follow up on these ideas. Bruce, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add.
No, just that. Thank you to everybody. I think it's been a very productive first meeting. You know, I think this is what we wanted to do. Exactly what we're doing is talking to people about their specific projects and what they're trying to do and figure out how we could help. That's really what it's all about. So thanks to everybody for being here. And hopefully, like next time, as I said, we'll get the word out more and more, and we'll have more people show up.
Yes, Robin's going to post this meeting to YouTube, and I'm going to post it to our Facebook, and we can share it out if anyone has the meeting and wants to see it. But yeah, thank you, everyone.
That's a great idea. Yeah, thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.